Let's talk about the austerity programs being imposed by governments on people around the world, and especially here in the United States. Austerity is a fancy term. It really simply means that a government is either raising the taxes on average people or cutting the services it provides to them, or both. And the purpose is always the same: to put money aside on the part of the government to pay off the lenders from whom it has borrowed. Those lenders are demanding a more secure flow of money. They're demanding to see that the government has set aside money to pay interest on these debts, and so they want the government to show that they have the muscle to get the taxes, to cut the services, so that the money will be there for the lenders. Let's see why that happened over many years and why it's a crisis now. For many years, politicians solved their problem of being popular by not raising taxes on people while providing them with services. If you keep improving the services and you don't raise the taxes, how are you going to pay for that? Solution: borrowing. That's what corporations want the government to do, because they don't want to have to pay the higher taxes. Rich people don't want to have to pay the higher taxes, and the mass of people can't pay the higher taxes. So the solution is you go to the rich people and say, I won't tax you, instead I'll borrow from you, and then the government can satisfy everybody. This was already a problem before the latest crisis hit, but the latest crisis turned the problem into itself another crisis. Here's how that happened. Perfect example, in a way, of the ongoing problem. The crisis meant the government had to spend a lot of money to get us out of the crisis. It had to lend money, it had to buy defunct corporations, it had to bail out broken companies, it had to fix a broken capitalism. That cost trillions. And the government, not to be unpopular, feared to tax people, feared to tax rich people, feared to tax corporations. So it went to the rich and the corporations and said, okay, I'm not going to tax you. Instead, you lend it to me so I can bail you out. All over the world, governments borrowed like never before. That's why the lending problem is so big now. That's when they discovered that the lenders, having lent them trillions to fix this crisis, are now nervous about governments being able to pay back. And so they demand, these lenders do, and again, the lenders are corporations and wealthy people. They demand the government set aside money to insure their loans. And so the government has to raise taxes on people or cut services to people to find that money. Here's the problem with all of this. The crisis was brought on by corporations and rich people speculating. The government bailed them out. The government provided them with a recovery. The government borrowed from them to bail them out. But now the government, in an austerity program, wants the mass of people to pay for it all, either with higher taxes or with reduced government services, or both. Simply put, an austerity program is a way to shift the costs and burdens of a capitalist crisis on the mass of people who had the least to do with causing it, and who have so far suffered the lion's share of the pain all crises impose. Austerity is the last thing that should be done in this situation, and it should be resisted by all people with even an elementary sense of fairness.